We live in an era of unprecedented connectivity, yet we have never felt so profoundly alone or adrift. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, the screen is already glowing in your hand, flooding your mind with the noise of a world that never sleeps. We are bombarded by images of lives we do not live, successes we have not achieved, and a relentless ticking clock that tells us we are constantly falling behind. There is a deep, quiet ache in the modern soul, an anxiety about the future, a paralyzing fear of failure, and an exhaustion that sleep never quite seems to cure. We hustle, we grind, we compare our behind-the-scenes struggles to the highlight reels of strangers, and we accumulate things we do not need to impress people we do not even know. And yet, when the day is done and the room goes dark, that lingering sense of emptiness returns. We find ourselves asking if this is all there is, if this endless cycle of striving and stressing is what life is truly meant to be. We have built a world of incredible convenience, but we have lost the manual for how to live a meaningful life within it. If you feel this way, you are not broken, and you are entirely not alone. Across the vast ocean of time, across centuries of rising and falling empires, humanity has wrestled with these exact same shadows. Let us step away, for a moment, from the glowing screens, the overflowing inboxes, and the deafening roar of the 21st century. Let us travel back over 2,000 years. Imagine the dust and the heat of ancient Rome. Hear the clatter of chariot wheels on uneven cobblestones, the shouts of merchants in the crowded forums, the whispers of conspiracy in the marble halls of power. Rome was a city of unimaginable wealth, extreme poverty, cutthroat politics, and constant simmering chaos. It was a world that, much like our own, demanded everything from its citizens. And it was in this world that a man named Seneca lived, observed, and discovered a pathway to an unshakable inner peace. Seneca was not a monk meditating on an isolated mountaintop, far removed from the temptations and terrors of the real world. He was profoundly embedded in the very center of it all. He was one of the wealthiest men in the Roman Empire, a brilliant playwright, an incredibly powerful political figure, and, most famously, the tutor and advisor to the Emperor Nero. His life was not a tranquil river. It was a violent storm. He knew the intoxicating heights of wealth and influence, but he also suffered the crushing depths of political exile, the sudden loss of everything he owned, the constant threat of assassination, and the betrayal of those he trusted. He was a flawed, complex human being navigating an incredibly dangerous environment. Yet, through it all, Seneca cultivated a philosophy that allowed him to stand firm while the world around him burned. He became a master of Stoicism, a practical philosophy designed not for the classroom, but for the battlefield of daily life. He recognized that while we cannot control the external world, the economy, the opinions of others, the rise and fall of leaders, or the sudden onset of illness, we have absolute, sovereign control over our own minds. As Seneca walked through the bustling streets of Rome, he noticed something that remains heartbreakingly true today. He saw people rushing frantically from one obligation to the next, entirely consumed by their ambitions, their anxieties, and their petty rivalries. He saw wealthy merchants who were slaves to their bank accounts, and powerful politicians who were terrified of losing their status. He realized that most people do not truly live, they merely exist, entirely swept up in the current of their own busyness. He wrote to his friends and family, reflecting on the illusion of time. We constantly complain that our days are few, that time is flying by, and that the end comes before we are ready. But Seneca saw it differently. He understood that life is not inherently short. Rather, we make it short by wasting it. We pour our most precious, non-renewable resource down the drain of meaningless distractions. Think of how we spend our days now. We give hours of our irreplaceable lives to endless scrolls on social media, to agonizing over past conversations, to worrying about future scenarios that will never actually happen. We treat time as if it were infinite. Seneca warned that we are incredibly protective of our physical property. We lock our doors, we guard our money, we fight anyone who tries to take what we own. Yet we allow anyone and anything to steal our time, the only thing we can never earn back. If you want to live a meaningful life, you must begin by fiercely guarding your time. Stop giving it away to anger, to jealousy, to mindless entertainment, and to the pursuit of external validation. Reclaim your hours. Spend them on what actually matters, cultivating your character, deepening your relationships, and finding stillness in the present moment. When we finally strip away the noise and the busyness, we are left alone with ourselves. And for many, this is a terrifying prospect. We avoid silence because it forces us to confront our own minds. But Seneca believed that true freedom is not the ability to travel wherever you want or buy whatever you desire. True freedom is an inside job. It is the mastery of your own mind. We are so often held hostage by our emotions. A rude comment from a coworker, a passive-aggressive email, or a sudden change in our plans can ruin our entire day. We give away our power to external circumstances. But imagine building a fortress within your mind, a quiet sanctuary where no one else can enter unless you give them the key. Seneca taught that between an event happening to us and our reaction to that event, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom to choose. When someone insults you, they are only offering you their words. It is entirely up to you whether you accept them and feel injured, or let them fall to the absolute floor like dead leaves. By realizing that your peace depends entirely on your own judgments and not on the behavior of others, you liberate yourself from the emotional roller coaster of daily life. You become the quiet anchor in the stormy sea. One of the greatest storms that can threaten this inner sanctuary is anger. Seneca viewed anger not just as a negative emotion, but as a temporary madness. He saw how it destroyed relationships, toppled empires, and poisoned the soul. In our modern world, outrage has become a currency. We are constantly provoked to be angry by the news, by algorithms designed to trigger us, by the inevitable frictions of living alongside other stressed, anxious human beings. We feel justified in our road rage, our harsh words in the heat of the moment, our lingering resentments. But Seneca asks us to look closely at what anger actually achieves. Does it ever truly solve the problem, or does it merely compound the suffering? When we lash out, we are punishing ourselves for the mistakes or the ignorance of others. Seneca advised that when we feel the heat of anger rising in our chest, the most powerful thing we can do is simply pause. Delay your reaction. Take a breath. Recognize that the person who cut you off in traffic or spoke to you unfairly is likely acting out of their own blindness, their own stress, their own internal suffering. Responding with anger only spreads the infection. Instead, meet the world's hostility with an impenetrable calmness. Forgive easily, not necessarily because others deserve it, but because you deserve peace. This profound sense of peace is intimately tied to how we navigate the unpredictable nature of the universe. We spend so much energy trying to force the world to conform to our expectations. We have a rigid script in our heads of how our career should progress, how our partner should behave, and how our lives should look by a certain age. When reality deviates from this script, as it inevitably will, we suffer. We feel cheated, betrayed, and profoundly disappointed. Seneca experienced the ultimate shattering of expectations when he was abruptly exiled to the harsh, barren island of Corsica. He lost his wealth, his family, and his position in a single stroke. Yet, instead of descending into bitterness and despair, he used the time to read, to write, and to deepen his philosophical practice. He embraced the concept of accepting fate. He understood that fighting against the reality of what has already happened is as futile as screaming at the rain for making you wet. The universe is vastly larger than us, governed by forces we cannot control. When adversity strikes, when you lose a job, when a relationship ends, when illness arrives, you have a choice. You can resist, complain, and wallow in the injustice of it all, or you can accept it as the new reality and ask, what now? How can I use this? Stoicism teaches us not just to tolerate our fate, but to actively embrace it. Whatever happens to you, decide that it is exactly what was meant to happen and use it as fuel to become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. To maintain this resilience, we must examine our relationship to the things we desire. Modern society conditions us to believe that more is always better. We are trapped on a hedonic treadmill, constantly running after the next promotion, the bigger house, the newer car, the latest technology, believing that once we finally acquire these things, we will be happy. But Seneca observed the wealthiest people in Rome and saw that their abundance did not bring them peace, it only brought them new anxieties. They were terrified of losing what they had and constantly envious of those who had slightly more. True wealth, Seneca realized, does not consist in having many possessions, but in having few wants. He advocated for a life of simplicity, not necessarily living in a cave and wearing rags, but unchaining our happiness from material things. He knew that the moment you require luxury to feel content, you have become a slave to your possessions. To break this invisible chain, Seneca practiced a profound mental and physical exercise. Even as a wealthy man, he would periodically set aside a few days to wear the cheapest clothes, eat the coarsest bread, and sleep on the hard ground. He would look at this artificially induced poverty and ask himself, is this the condition that I so feared? By exposing himself to what he was afraid of, he stripped the fear of its power. We can apply this today. We spend so much time worrying about the worst-case scenario. What if I lose all my money? What if I fail? What if I am judged? Seneca tells us to stop passively dreading the future and actively mentally rehearse it. Prepare for adversity before it arrives. Visualize the loss of what you hold dear, not to make yourself depressed, but to cultivate a profound gratitude for what you have right now, and to realize that even if it all vanished tomorrow, your inner strength would remain intact. You would survive. You would rebuild. You are far more resilient than your anxieties allow you to believe. When we no longer fear losing our possessions, and when we no longer chase external validation, we are free to pursue what truly matters, a life of virtue. In the Stoic view, virtue is the only true good. It is the uncompromising commitment to wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. In our modern culture, we often celebrate people for their wealth, their physical beauty, their follower count, or their status. We idolize the superficial. But Seneca reminds us that all of these things are fleeting and ultimately worthless if they are not paired with a good character. You can have millions in the bank and be a miserable, morally bankrupt human being. You can be famous and be entirely alone. The only thing that truly belongs to you, the only thing that no twist of fate, no market crash, and no political upheaval can ever take away, is your character. How do you treat the waiter at the restaurant? How do you behave when no one is watching? Do you speak the truth even when it is difficult? Do you stand up for what is right even when it is unpopular? Do you act with kindness toward those who can do absolutely nothing for you? These are the questions that define a meaningful life. Seneca urged his friends to wake up every morning and commit to being a slightly better human being than they were the day before. The goal is not perfection. Seneca himself was incredibly self-aware of his own flaws and contradictions, but rather the continuous, earnest effort to align your actions with your deepest values. When you live a life rooted in virtue, you no longer need the applause of the crowd. Your own conscience becomes your highest judge, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing you did the right thing becomes your ultimate reward. As we journey through this life, guarding our time, mastering our minds, accepting our fate, and striving for virtue, there is one final, inevitable reality that we must all face. It is the reality that casts a long shadow over everything we do, yet it is the very thing we try hardest to ignore. That reality is death. In our modern world, we hide death away in hospitals and sterile rooms, avoiding the topic as if speaking of it will somehow summon it closer. We live as if we are immortal, putting off our dreams, delaying our apologies, and hoarding our love for us somewhere down the line that is never guaranteed. But Seneca viewed mortality not as a terrifying monster, but as a wise, silent companion. He understood that the awareness of our own ending is the very thing that gives meaning to our present. If we had infinite days, no single day would have any value. The passing of the seasons, the fading light of the afternoon sun, the quiet ticking of the clock, these are not signs of time slipping away into nothingness. They are reminders of the sacred, fragile beauty of the here and now. Seneca taught that we are dying every single day. The time that has passed belongs to death. Therefore, we must not wait until the end of our lives to begin truly living. We must live immediately. When the time finally came for Seneca to face his own end, he did so in a manner that echoed the philosophy he had spent a lifetime teaching. Falsely accused of a conspiracy against the Emperor Nero, the very boy he had once mentored and tried to guide, Seneca was ordered by the tyrant to take his own life. It was a brutal, unjust, and sudden command. Yet, historical accounts tell us that while his family and friends wept openly in absolute despair, Seneca remained deeply calm. He did not beg for his life. He did not rage against the unfairness of the universe. He comforted his loved ones, reminding them of the philosophical principles they had studied together. He faced the ultimate darkness with extraordinary dignity, grace, and an unshakable inner tranquility. His death was his final, most powerful lesson. It proved that a mind fortified by wisdom and virtue cannot be broken by anyone, not even an emperor, and not even death itself. We may not face the dramatic political executions of ancient Rome, but we all face our own trials, our own daily battles, and eventually our own final moments. The wisdom of Seneca reaches across the centuries to offer us a lantern in the dark. He asks us to look deeply at our own lives right now. Are you living deliberately, or are you just being carried along by the tide of society? Are you guarding your time, or are you giving it away to things that drain your spirit? Are you held captive by anger, comparison, and the endless pursuit of more? Or are you building a quiet, unassailable fortress within your own mind? The answers to these questions are not found in the external world. They are waiting for you in the stillness of your own heart. It requires immense courage to step off the treadmill, to face your anxieties, and take full, radical responsibility for your own inner peace. But this is the only path to a life that is truly meaningful. As you go forward into the rest of your day, perhaps returning to the noise, the emails, and the responsibilities that await you, carry this ancient wisdom with you. Let the words of Seneca be a gentle echo in your mind when you feel stressed, overwhelmed, or lost. Remember that you have the power to choose your response to anything the world throws at you. Remember that true wealth is found in wanting less, and true freedom is found in mastering yourself. You are capable of extraordinary resilience, profound stillness, and a beautiful, quiet strength. If this journey through Seneca's timeless philosophy has brought you a sense of clarity, if it has ignited a small spark of courage within you, or if it has simply provided a moment of peace in a chaotic world, I invite you to subscribe to Wisdom of Stoic. Like this video to help these ancient truths reach more minds that are searching for light, and please share it with someone in your life who might need a reminder of their own inner strength today. Let us continue to walk this path together, learning from the masters of the past and building a more thoughtful, resilient, and deeply meaningful life, starting right now, in this very moment.